Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Randomised Gaming Fight Night. I am your host for this Randomised Gaming Fight Night, as always, Random Gamer Riven, and alongside me of course is my co-host
Random Gamer Dragoon.
So I should say from the get-go, I am going to be player 1 and Dragoon is going to be player 2 tonight, just to make it clear, because I know a few of them I haven't actually made clear who was who fighting away. So this is the Super Nintendo version of Killer Instinct. Interestingly, this is the North American SNES version. It was only released in North America and Europe. It wasn't actually released in Japan, strangely. So there's one little bit of trivia for you. So sadly, the Japanese never got the honour of experiencing Killer Instinct, which is a fairly solid game. I think it was kind of a bit based on the Mortal Kombat format with some jazzed up visuals and gameplay. It was actually a very good title by Rare as a one-on-one beat-em-up. In fact, for a British fighting entry one-on-one, this is probably one of the best, I think, fighting games ever made by a UK studio. I think it's fair to say, man. Can you think of any other big UK studios making fight games? I think this is probably the biggest franchise the UK ever did.
Yeah, I think so.
So, let's, without further ado, get started. We could have done the arcade version, but I think I'll do a long play of the arcade version after, and we'll do the SNES version tonight. Because the SNES version was my personal version, seeing as although I played it a lot in the arcades, and then subsequently got this was the version I spent an awful lot of time with. So we'll go from the get-go. I'll just bring up the, in case you want the idle cheat, it's Sindel, and you have to press LR. So yeah, just in case, just for Dragoon's reference, for the idle cheat, if you want to play as him, you have to select Sindel, then at the verse screen, hold right on the joypad and press LR, XB, YA.
LR, XB, Y. Okay,
LR. Olympic Sable, I am Jago. So this version, it's actually surprisingly, it's still good fun. It maintains all the arcade gameplay. In fact, it maintains the arcade combo ratio. I'm actually Chief Thunder character. Dragoon is his favourite character, Sable, so I expect I'm going to get the beating this round. Now, notably, the sprites are definitely smaller in this one. They are pre-rendered CG. Some people may not like them. They have aged a bit. The backgrounds are also a bit different to the arcade version. They're sort of pseudo-similar, but they're basically flat and 2D. This is one of those games that I think was slightly rushed out for Christmas '95, I think. And I think the Super Nintendo version could have actually been better, if I'm being honest. I think Rare rushed this one. So what made Killer Instinct different to other fights at the time is it's very combo-centric. The other thing is all the combos are very much you sort of make them up as you go and you flow along, making it a very easy combo. So I'm just going to put in, let's just do Riv, just because it can give me the names. You've got to keep pressing start, Dragoon. That's going to throw you into arcade mode.
Really, it didn't go back to the...
No, there's a few. The flow of this home version is not as good as it should be. I do think this is a bit rushed. The flow's definitely not quite right. That said, for a SNES game, the size of the sprite is actually pretty impressive. So the original arcade game did the hard drive and had a lot of animated intros. It also had zooming in and out, so on the bridge here you can actually see... I'm just trying to... Oh, that's what it is. This is a very combo-centric game, so I'm basically going to probably punish Dragoon as Chief Thunder, because Chief Thunder is my primary character. Yeah, I think maybe I'll do... I think I will do a long play of the arcade version, because the arcade version looks so much better. Although this is the arcade sprites... they definitely cut it down somewhat. So there are a thing called combo breakers. This is basically you cannot infinite combo people in this game. Combos have an ending. You also have the ability to break them, which is something a lot of other games didn't have from it, and even today don't have. So you can't always break them. Oh, were you dizzy? I thought it was. No, I thought it was a chance for me to finish you off there. Ooh. Oh, damn it. The sprites are actually a really nice size in this, so I'll just go through all the various characters. All the characters are actually created by Kevin Baelish of Rare, who later went on to, I believe he's now at Play Nation and Banjo-Kazooie. They're slightly crazy, the character design, I have to admit. I did actually catch him out on Twitter a little while back, but that's a story for another time. So one thing also, the designs are actually quite nice. They weren't the standard Street Fighter characters. In fact, they put some real effort in making the characters very different to, say, Street Fighter, because a lot of the Japanese studios did copy Street Fighter, and you had almost what I describe as identical characters with how Orchid actually has, I think this is basically her Infinite, isn't it? Do you remember her? I mean, you could go into an arcade killer and literally it was almost always Orchid. Oh. I know the uppercut with Chief Thunder, so I knocked you off the... Yeah, one annoying thing is that Rare didn't include a battery backup, so the high score is absolutely pointless in this game. And I must admit, looking at this now, I'm going to say I think this was slightly rushed, this home port, and I think Rare could have done a better job. Oh, it does work, the Idol cheat. So Idol is of course the boss from the original Killer Instinct, and he's supposedly one of two ancient warlords in the story who are basically battling out history. Is it Gargarus? I'm going to get his reign wrong from the second game, was the other one. And I think the less said about Killer Instinct 2, the better. The original KI was was a very good and original game. KI 2 made some fundamental flaws. I think they took out the fatalities, except the combos, and they basically nerfed the game in a few ways that it just destroyed it, and no one liked Killer Instinct 2. One of the biggest problems was they changed the character roster, but they clearly didn't check out the characters properly, so basically what happened is that they ended up removing, so who was it removed again? Chief Thunder, Raptor, and was it Cinder? Yeah. No, Spinal was in the second game. The problem was they didn't do their focus research properly, because Chief Thunder was the second most popular character in the game, and to take him out was absolute commercial suicide. And they also took out Sindor, who was relatively popular. Raptor wasn't particularly very popular, but Sindor was sort of moderate. However, they left in Saberwolf and Spinal, who were by far the most unpopular characters of the whole franchise. And Spinal, I never saw anyone play as him whatsoever, and Saberwolf as well. They were just incredibly unpopular characters. I mean, Orchid was your #1 character in the arcades, but followed by Orchid, I think TJ Combo was probably about 3rd or 4th. Okay, can I get this right? Can I do a... I can't do any of the high moves because I'm not that. I need to bring up the moves list. Do that, bring up the moves list. Yeah, it's a bit annoying that you have to enter the name. The fact it doesn't have a... Alright, it doesn't matter. For Cinder again, it wasn't. He was certainly more popular than. So the characters, I mean, the sprites are quite nice and big in this one, which is a good thing. There are a lot of sprites that I think, in terms of SNES fighting games, probably might actually have the biggest sprites. Even Street Fighter 2, maybe Mortal Kombat has around the same size. Street Fighter 2, definitely.
Gundam ones are pretty big.
Yeah, actually, probably the Gundam ones will be slightly bigger, but Gundam, this is probably the later two. So they showed that the SNES could handle some decent sized sprites. The animation, so Cinder is missing his flame effect, and at one stage they were talking of removing him on the Super Nintendo version, so... Let's even get some fatalities in. Chief Thunder, where are you? Let's use my main character. Yeah, I think this is... there are a few... Idol actually has 2 stages, which quite surprised me, because I totally forgotten Idol has 2 stages. The arcade version... The arcade... Technically, this one's actually a bit more zoomed out than the arcade. So the arcade version does have a zoom level, and... How do you get the hidden stage, by the way? In the character time? We'll have to check the cheats. There's definitely a few of them. You can get the Sky stage from the that was actually in the arcade version as well. I can't believe I just lost Thunder again.
By the time you look to the move,
perhaps look at it before you do the finisher. Okay, so yeah, you do get fatality. There are 2 fatalities. You also get a humiliation. You also get the ultra combo. I mean, there's 11 characters in total, which is a nice roster, and certainly at the time, I think this is definitely one of those games that I think it's aged better than I expected, but I think visually it's not great. I think the combo system actually works really well because you did have the combo breakers, so you can...
you wonder about the characters, as soon as you go to the country, there's a lot of animation.
Yeah, the animation's been cut. I think Rare perhaps cheaped on the cartridge, or Nintendo cheaped on the cartridge with this one. So I think the cartridge could have been better. But the combo system is really easy. Basically, it's basically a huge linker system. Mid kick. Player one. Oh, a sweep distance.
Yeah, the manual doesn't say the distance.
Yeah, the moves all have to be done at set distance. There are a few. Don't forget you get all the colours as well. Let's do sable. So you got quite a variety of colours. I think this was quite a nice package, but I do think it probably could have been slightly better as a port. Now they did mention they actually zoomed out. The original game's slightly more zoomed in, but they're scaling in the original Killer Instinct arcade game, which is of course not present in this home conversion, sadly. Basically, you have the thing called an ultra combo as well, where you can do like a chain. You basically have a linker for it, and you need to get it in at a set amount. So it's his Sable's ultra combo. Yeah, Cinder can actually go invisible, which is one of those moves that's basically helpful for the AI, not for another player.
Rough circles in it, so I do find a little bit rough.
Oh yes, first finish him. Supreme victory! I think it's a supreme victory. Off we goes. Now, in the arcade version, you actually had full rotation. I'm probably going to do an arcade playthrough straight after, actually, but I won't do it on this stream. I will do that as a proper video and upload that separately.
Oh, man, fast. Equals end.
I'm going to play single myself. Some of the characters you get limited colour. Let's go for the white to skull. You can literally press it up or down to change colours. So now the artwork's quite nice, although literally they had animated intros in the arcade game. That's been just changed. Like I said, I think the SNES version should have been closer to the arcade one. I think they were cheating on it, if I'm being honest. And basically, this is probably one of those early chain link combos. One of the things is, every character is a combo breaker. You can break a combo at any point if you get the combo breaker in when the linker occurs. So maybe not quite every point. You have to get the right linker. Basically, you can then perform a combo breaker and it will break the combo.
You can actually tell where you're about the shadow. Half circle I find quite tricky.
Yeah, there is an issue with the inputs. It's one of the issues is where I didn't get the controls quite right. So if you sometimes cycle quarter circle towards or half circle towards, it doesn't quite register. That's obviously a fault of Rare themselves, which is actually interesting because I think this was Rare's first game, so I'm a bit forgiving of the fact there are a few issues with the actual combat, but it is a little bit detracting, the fact that you have those issues.
The stage selection is the same couple of stages.
Let's see what the Sky stage was. I've got game facts up. So game FAQs is basically a lifesaver for cheats. Hold down plus low, medium kick on both controllers after selecting a character. Medium kicks B, just so you're aware. It's actually interesting, L and R are light, so in the rare move to Street Fighter, the lights are set to L trigger and R trigger, which is what I quite like. It makes the lights much easier to do. And because your heavies are going to be your primary, I think in Street Fighter you mainly use
You're doing a combo, so instinctively trying
to... Let's do that. We'll hold down plus low. So basically B after selecting a character. Right, let's go. The sky stages. Low, medium kick on both after selecting bet you it's on the stage select, but the game actually it's wrong. Based on the character select screen. Should pull away. Okay, well, actually won this one, but I just he's my main combo guy. And he's the only one I know I can probably get fatality in. Oh, there we go, the airborne.
Didn't you chuck out fireball so you landed up there?
Or I can do his ultra quite easily.
So you can only do the ultra as a finish?
Yeah, you can only do the ultra combo as a finisher effectively. Basically it's like a brutality. Here we go, here's this Thunder Dance. Oh, they're quite nice dancing animation from the arcade game, so obviously, so Secrets 5A, let's look at this.
I think it's actually used the same arcade hardware as Mortal Kombat 3.
Sky stage, so yes, there's down and Y and B.
Oh, down Y and B, not just
If
B.
both players press medium low attack while holding down to select their character, it will select a special stage. Medium low attack, so yeah, it's down and B while selecting she thunders ultra out, so I can do his ultra easy now. Basically what happens is you have a string chain where certain, much like Mortal Kombat 3, pressing certain moves will trigger a combo, but you have to know which are the right moves to press. The wrong ones will not trigger a combo, so there we go. There's a 6 master, that's a blaster combo. The ultra combo is basically like a brutality. Too late, you're not going to have time. So down and B while selecting a character.
This is Y and B.
No, it's down and B. Both places do it, just keep it held. Yes, here we go with the Sky stage. This is basically the really short stage. I believe you can knock them off in early match.
Yeah, you can knock. There's no safe zone here, so you can knock them off at any time.
This one was actually in the arcade as well. I remember one time watching an arcade operator actually show it off to a few people where they were battling over the Sky stage.
Twice to say they had the machine open in the coin chute, using the dip switches to.
Yeah, and then the dip switches often were activated by the key, wasn't it? Oh yes. So you do actually get the. They slightly changed it in the original arcade version. It's like a full-on 3D environment.
To bring victory. That one's good for a laugh.
Yeah, and that's about it, sadly. Run again at some point, but that's the Sky stage. Thanks for the likes this should take, guys. Always glad to know you're appreciating the stream. I'm very rusty with all the characters apart from Chief Thunder. Chief Thunder I've been practicing with this week, so I'm still losing as in, but at least I know the moves too. You can actually get out. This is one of, unlike Mortal Kombat, if you wiggle the thing, you can actually get out of a finish him, so you can take back control. There's also the humiliation, and yeah, the SNES version actually has a lot of animation cut out. It's just a straightforward move, I believe. How do I win?
I think you have to be on the first health bar or something, don't you?
Well, you can used to say humiliation as well.
Humiliation. Make your opponents dance. Yeah, that's the silly code. Obviously, this game has a ripping soundtrack for SNES. That's the one thing it will.
Yeah, it does have it. I mean, as a SNES beat 'em up, it's pretty good. I do think this is one of those games that suffers hugely. This is one of the games, and interestingly, the Super Nintendo version actually came with a CD called Killer Cuts. So if you get at least a half decent condition one, it will come with the CD. I imagine a lot of them these days, people took the CD out and stuff, but I actually still have mine original PAL version. But admittedly, I thought we'd get the US version, and it does play a lot nicer than the US version. It's one of those games that, again, the US version really is much nicer. Seems cool. Orchard has a thing as a quick attack. She can. Orchard is a really. You saw lots of people. Yeah, this is it. This is it. You can do a really brutal combo. So that's a killer combo, and that's just basically. That's why loads of people played this out. Basically, people tended to play as the character that was most easiest to win with. So not necessarily
use the cheapest combos. A la Cable in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, humiliations, you must still be on your first. So basically she had that combo, so you had an instant 20 hits. Hence why she was quite popular.
Her fault. Yeah, she...
Yeah, you got to time it just right. Oh, come on. Should have given me a chance. Obviously, it went into I wanted to do the old heart attack. Orchard has an interesting no violent fatality where she infamously well, let's see if I can pull it off and you'll see what it is.
Oh boy. Delicious. Fight on. Ready.
Well, I see, of course, the space is just see Volg, or you can do that uppercut, so you can basically easily punt me off the edge if you do that right. But quite nice to get a combo there.
Ready.
Oh, damn it. But you don't actually do that much damage with the combos.
Just trying to see if I can get caught in the yeah.
Oh! And here he goes.
Off the skyscraper. This is actually Orchard stage, or she's actually B Orchard, which stands for Black Orchard.
And you break
Black
the car.
Orchid, I should say.
Supreme victory.
Supreme victory. Again, this game has fantastic sound samples. So the music, I think the SNES music in this version is fantastic. I think the scaling's missing, which is understandable, but there are a few other elements I think, should they have still been in the game.
Favorable. Fight on. Ready. Ready.
We're doing the sky stage again, or
Do it next round.
we haven't had Raptor stage.
Did they cut some stages?
No,
out?
no, all the stages are in. It's just speaking of that, we did have it earlier.
The one outside the building.
No, this is Raptor stage. We're in this sort of spiked cage. Admittedly, the stages are slightly different in terms of how they look to the arcade one. This one has very much a flat design to them. You did see a lot of Jago arcade players that I do remember, although I was never a fan of Jago. I believe Jago and Orchard are actually brother and sister in this story. It's sort of Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia type story. Now, I don't really like to talk about the third game in the series, primarily is because that wasn't made by Rare, and I think that was a bit of a disservice to Rare, the fact that they weren't allowed to make it, so I don't regard that game as canon in the slightest. I appreciate a lot of Xbox players probably quite like it, but quick punch. Quick punch is L. That's what. There's a way to. I was trying to do No Mercy sword style, which is a way towards quick punch.
I'll do the old.
Sky stage. Yeah, fair enough. Let's battle down. Let's wrap down and B. Should actually get idle out again, which was idle is press cinder again, and you have to hold
LR and then press
hold left, and then you press LR X B Y A, which is easy enough to remember. You press left cross on the joypad buttons after LR.
You don't hold R as well.
No, you just press them in that order, and then cinder will change to idle.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, can I? Raptor's got counts, hasn't he? Oh! Yeah, the half circle command you have to get. There is an issue with Killer Instinct where Rare got the inputs wrong. It doesn't always register correctly the inputs. And there I go off the building. There's Raptor. So this is actually done in pseudo 3D in the.
That's a man-shaped.
So yeah, despite that it's a Raptor, so a few bugs there.
Thunder. Thunder.
You hold left here, LR X B Y A. If you want to do it.
Hold L R X B Y A.
Oh no, it's right. Oh sorry, it's hold right. It's hold right and then do.
Yeah, left and right.
Yep, that's me. I was going to say, I suddenly thought, hang on, wasn't I holding right when I did it? That's an airborne combo there. That's what I do. If I do that right, I'll knock you off the edge. Hell, you can actually get in an ultra and knock people off the edge, so. Blaster combo. I do. The voice samples in this are absolutely superb. That I will say they are absolutely fantastic.
It's about the only. I mean, you've obviously got lyric songs
As well. Yeah, I mean, despite the fact it's quite a heavily cut down version, they still did a bang up job with the audio.
Considering the SNES sound chip as well.
Oh, there you go. Off the. That was actually added in the sort of pseudo 2D, 3D fall because originally it was done in real time, the fall. So there are quite a few differences in the arcade. As I mentioned, I don't think this is as close to the arcade version as it could have been. I think Rare was slightly pushed for time to get this out.
Orchid. Final. Ready.
I do remember so many players playing as Orchid. You pretty much guarantee if you went to an arcade, someone who went into a Killer Instinct machine would be playing as Orchid.
Doing that ultra 25 hit combo.
Yeah, doing that what I was doing to you.
I mean, this is the thing, most of those arcades, you just watch people use the cheapest combo imaginable to win the game.
Yeah, which actually implies they weren't that good at players, they could only win by cheating. But yeah, there is an element of duff input in this, so. failing spectacularly again.
That was the move, but obviously it doesn't tell you the distance.
Yeah, you shout and I'll give you the distance based on this website I've got up here. Because literally on the hook, it's Mortal Kombat's fatalities are probably a bit easier to pull off directly, so.
Thunder. Fight on. Ready.
I didn't get it quite right. I was supposed to be idle. I think I need to get it. I need to get it a bit quicker the code. Cinder, of course, infamously had. He was one of the characters that was heavily. He was actually initially rumoured not to even be in the game due to his flaming effect, which they probably could have done sort of pseudo. They did like a flame aqua. That's just totally removed from him. I'm glad that shadow makes my character easily noticeable.
We've actually got a reflection on the ground there, which is actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's surprisingly nice reflection. There's a few finer points in the background that look really, really good. Ask for the distance if you want,
Yeah,
because you've got to get the distance just right. This one's really picky about the difference. So he's got close and one player distance, so both his fatalities are right next to the player, which does mean if you screw up with the fatalities, you're going to basically kill them from the punch.
You have to do it on that screen, didn't you?
Yeah, you got to do it on that screen. Oh, come on!
We have done an idle versus idle.
Yeah, yeah, we did it earlier. So extend the version, hold right, press LR, X, B, Y, A. That's what I did, but it didn't
You're
recognise.
saying hold right, is it right?
Yeah, hold right, LR, X, B, Y, A on the verse.
You said hold the R.
No, it says hold right. You're not hearing me, Dragoon. In the arcade, it's a bit more complicated. Select Raptor and hold. Keep doing the invisible one. The invisible move's useless. Stop doing it, Cinder.
Characters have no throws.
Yeah, I don't think they do have throws in the slightest. Give another shot. Right, LR. Yay! Fireball. So quarter circle towards and punch. Away towards quick for the shoulder charge. He actually had a few good combos. I do remember that. Idol's ridiculously powerful as well, so all his blows do like triple damage compared to the other characters.
They took out as 99.
So, oh, for the arcade, yeah, he originally had a 99 one. They took it. I think Orchard had a 99 hit as well. They left that in. Idol doesn't have any finishers. He just literally instantly wins. So. I can bat them back to you if I get it right. Away towards. Triple punch as well. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Idol has no fatalities, so I thought he might have an ultra though.
No, his ultra was removed from the SNES version. Oh, okay, good.
Fight on. Ready.
Yeah, Orchard was definitely the arcade player of choice purely because of her spammy combos, and perhaps also because of her infamous, one of her, although we haven't done it yet, as I mentioned earlier, one of her finishing moves, she unzips it up to show her goodness. Of course, she shows it to the character, but it's done from an angle so the player can't see it, only the opposing sprite can, in which case they comment on how attractive she looks before having a heart attack from how beautiful she. Yeah, it's quite hilarious finishing move. There's only a tongue-in-cheek to it. Okay, we got to get the distance right. And they've got to get the distance right. I should be watched again.
Orchid. Full bore. Fight on. Ready.
Just going to pause it there a brief second, guys. So the actual game, I think it's a really good game. I really enjoyed the original Kindred Instinct. The original arcade version is now available on Xbox One. It's not available on any other format. The home version's never been, until the Xbox One release, it was never released, the arcade version. It remained, for some reason it was never re-released, I suppose because Rare changed ownership, so inevitably it took a long time for it to finally get a release. And even when it did, it was released as part of Killer Instinct 3, and I'm not a big fan of Killer Instinct 3 because it wasn't developed by Rare. In fact, it was initially done by Double Helix, who were not the strongest developer in the slightest. And there are some... It's just so cheap when you play it. I do feel like if you the words, if you're playing as Orchard, you should be ashamed, should pop up. With literally 20 hits. That's literally the combo everyone always used to do. You used to see that. Maybe start with the Prowl Cat as well. It's a kid. Yeah, that's what they're actually family. Full Gore was another one you did see a lot of if you were playing the arcade. He interesting has the full screen sort of machine gun finishing move. I think that's right. You can do a few air juggles. He's also got the teleport move, which is highly... Away towards quick punch. Yeah, I can actually be slightly further back apparently to pull it. So you've got to be. There is an issue with the inputs in this one. That's the one thing I will say. Even though I know it's doing the quarter circle towards, I can't pull them off consistently. There is a problem with it. So Rare did have an issue. This is not like Street Fighter where I can consistently pull off the special moves. There is just a slight slippiness with an input. It doesn't quite. I'm not sure whether the input's sometimes a little too fast or a little too slow, but or you can be too fast for it. But there's definitely an issue that Rare needed to address and never did. So. Sindel really was a really bizarre character that I was always amazed turned up in the sequel. He was the one no one ever played as. So for him to appear as the sequel, it would probably be like the equivalent of, I suppose, Rainbow Mackay turning up in the Street Fighter game after Street Fighter Alpha 3, because she was a terrible character. In fact, I'm always surprised they brought back the Street Fighter 5, because she was a terrible character no one liked. That's me out for count. Oh, finally we get another finish him. The full gore shooter max.
Although in the case of that skeleton, nothing happened. You just shakes around.
You don't get much happen normally. You get like the blood splash. This is not anywhere near as gory as. In fact, this is slightly censored over the arcade version.
Just side stage again.
Okay, why not? Do the sky stage. Down and B to select the skies. We both need to select our characters with down and B. Do the sky stage. But yeah, the music is. I think the music is definitely the very, very best point. I mean, in compared to Donkey Kong Country 3, I don't think this looks quite as good. There you go.
Monster combo!
That's a good way to end it, on a monster combo. That's how you want to do the sky stage. You probably literally play every match on the sky stage. It's definitely the best stage.
Man falls to his death. Yeah, it brings a smile to your face when someone is brutally chinned to their violence.
Comedic value, I should say, for comedic value. There's a satisfying feel finishing off an opponent in a video game. Why is this great? That's a good way to unwind stress after a hectic or busy day.
Don't that person you're coming is your co-worker.
Or your worst enemy, you mean. It's a good way to. Video games are always a good way to relieve stress, I find. Yeah, I will actually do it. I will do an arcade long play. Tomorrow I will actually be releasing a video of Midway. I was hoping to get it up today, but we ran out of time, and basically it was going to interfere with the stream, so. Come on! Should have done
That's
it.
another thing. Often you're mashing and thinking it's
Yeah,
you
think, try and do a combo, and then all of a sudden it's like finish him, and then you're straight after. Wham! Idol does actually have quite a good combo though, I do remember that. So yeah, you can do the charge punch.
I think you could do. I think you could have a combo to stop the 99.
Yeah, I could have swore he had an ultra. I think it's like the one finishing you did have. But Idol sadly doesn't have any finishing moves, but at least Rare made him playable, which is quite a nice Easter egg. I think it's definitely one of the better Super Nintendo fighters. I think it's so visually, I don't think this has aged well, and it's quite a nerfed port, so it's not. It was never going to be the arcade version. I think it's perhaps still a bit cut down from what it should be compared to. But I'm not even sure this is the biggest cartridge Donkey Kong Country 3. I mean, had this used something like the SSD one, which Star Ocean used, I think you could have made a lot closer conversion. And even the SA1, there is some slowdown in this, which is a bit disappointing. You occasionally get bits where the frame rate drops, and so I think it probably could. I do think Nintendo perhaps cheaped on this one.
Also, the fight system in this is always means it's always very difficult to come back from.
Yeah, if you're losing, you're at a real serious disadvantage. Although Capcom did use it for Vampire. Oh, you dissolved me.
Supreme awesome victory.
You dissolved me. So finally getting in a few of the finishing moves. They almost described them. They're basically awesome victories. They weren't called fatalities obviously because it was partly a Nintendo game, so you've got a slight...
Yeah, that Tomahawk can be a bit of a pain.
Yeah, his combo breaker can be a real pain. There's the orchard. It's like the orchard, basically the custom orchard. You saw an orchard player, they were doing what I was doing in that 12, easy 12 hit killer combo. That was an orchard player, it'd be like this. Yeah, there's an orchard player, you can tell what they're doing.
They're doing this. Actually, if you look, these combos don't actually do.
No, well, there's actually damage reduction, which is a really good mechanic, something Street Fighter never introduced. So whereas Street Fighter you'll get finished, this all combos have a tail off, so you can't.
Mortal Kombat 10 is quite bad, having brutal combos where you take 50% of someone's health.
Yeah, I mean, you need a tail off.
But Mortal Kombat 10 can be absolutely brutal.
Oh.
Hoping I get that right.
You'll notice there is a lack of blood in this. Obviously, that was partly due to Nintendo. So, although you have finishing moves, they're quite sedate, or at least, should I say, not particularly very gory. In fact, even the sort of classic, the new Mortal Kombat games are very, very, very gory, and sometimes over the top to the point that they kind of lose realism, because it's like, well, this is just going on and on, you wouldn't do this. The kind of in the original Mortal Kombat, it was just a short, sharp shot. It's like, okay, you finished them. But the newer ones, you get one shot and then another attack and then another thing and then some other grotesque thing right at the end. It's like, yeah, this isn't what Mortal Kombat was about. It was like quick finishing moves. So I think that was one. Yeah, we get the same stage. The random stage selection is atrocious for this. Yeah. You get the same. I mean, you expect. I mean, considering the number of stages, there's at least, I think, 12, 13 stages.
I'm just wondering whether it only gives you stages based on the characters you play.
There is a selection thing. It could be actually based on the characters you select. So you play 2, so it's based on. You can select the stage, though. Oh, come on, away towards medium punch. That's what I pressed. Close, so I assume close is right next to them. Let's see if this is stage related. If we pick the same character, which Which stage do we get?
Ready.
So it isn't character related, it's just a bit crap random. Wow, that's bad, the fact I can get you into a combo after this. Shouldn't be able to do dizzy so quickly.
Ready.
I could try and get at least one ultra combo out, although I've not had much luck at the minute. Glacier, I haven't been Glacier in a while.
Glacier. Thunder. Fight on. Combo. Ready. Combo breaker.
Idol definitely has a damage enhancement, that's for sure.
Ready.
I didn't really. Again, sometimes you don't get. Chief Thunder's his other fatality was quite. So both fatalities: axe, uppercut, half circle, back, and close kick. This one I always remember being heavily edited. He was supposed to uppercut them, and they would the various characters would change into different items, but it was quite heavily altered for the Super Nintendo version. So again, the Super Nintendo version was quite heavily cut. And you know, Donkey Kong Country 3, I don't really think there's more animation per stage in this. I think Rare perhaps did cheat a bit. I wouldn't be surprised if this was rushed as well. I do remember this being sort of a big Christmas '95 game, whether they were sort of rushing it out because they were concerned.
Yeah, just at the same time Donkey Kong Country 2, wasn't it?
Yeah, or just a bit after.
Oh, no, Donkey Kong Country 2 didn't come out until January, did it? It missed the Christmas window.
Yeah. And then you Donkey Kong Country 3 as well. I think Ultra got some weak. Oh come on, that should have been the Ultra. That was a blaster combo. Oh, it's quick, isn't it? That's why. Yeah, I was doing the medium and I should have been doing the quick. That's why. Quick is L. Ultra, yeah, I need to do the quick one. That was why I didn't get the Ultra combo in. I did it this time. I do feel like Chief Thunder is my primary character, so I feel I need to get his Ultra combo in at least once. I need to get one Ultra in. It's terrible right here. You can get humiliations in, but I think we're probably not going to get them in, seeing as we seem to be pretty much every match we've been. Yes, finally the ultra combo. There it goes. Ultra
combo.
And a massive score whack as well. Okay, my rep is saved.
We go on the sky stage.
Yep, why not? Down and B. This is the only stage you have to be a bit careful. I don't want to be that close to the end. I don't want to be that.
No!
Oh yes. This is the one stage in fact you can just chin them off. It's like yeah. You do have to be extra careful. There's something satisfying about the endings. Just the hole in the floor. But basically, if people play, certainly from my experience as an arcade gamer, if people played at as that character lots, they would have easy sort of combos or easy winning moves. So like Mortal Kombat 3, when that first came out, you could guarantee you would, half the time you would find players that would be like, oh, you're another cable, oh, you're using the same rush combo. Which isn't actually really a skill, it's just people who aren't particularly good players finding a combo they can abuse. So that means that they're not necessarily... Oh, that's nasty. That's the way towards A, he's got the pounce. There we go. You basically A and then, so hit X, A, and then once you do a little combo, you do. Very possible. Can I end on Sable?
No.
Oh, it was back, and I tapped it and I jumped, despite the fact I didn't. There is an issue with the inputs not correctly. I'd love it if this had like an input.
Thunder.
Right, I'll do one more fight then I'm done.
Ready. Ready. Phoenix! 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 Phoenix!
Okay, so I think we're coming to an end of our Fight Night session on Killer Instinct on the Super Nintendo. I think it's a nice game. Is it worth it? If you fancy a good fighter, it's not bad. I would argue probably it's better than... We haven't actually tried any of the SNK games on SNES. I think only Fatal Fury Special is probably the only one that I'd say is really, really good. A lot of the early SNK games I don't think are that good. Probably go as Chief Thunder myself in a sec. So I think pick your strongest character, Dragoon, and let's do the Sky stage one last time for good measure.
Fulgor Thunder. Fight on. Ready.
And that is the best way possible to end a nice little reversal there with that finishing combo, and in Fulgor goes. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that has been the hour. I think we'll leave it there. Thank you for watching. As always, I have been your host, Random Gamer Riven, and with me has been your host, Random Gamer Dragoon. We will call it there, and I will be back streaming next week. I think we'll be streaming, I think I might start with Cuphead, as I've just recently been playing that, so I might do that as part of the Randomised Gaming team. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we will see you in the near future. I wish you a good night, a good evening, a good morning, or a good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and I will see you in the near future, or in fact, after the weekend. So thanks for watching. Thank you for enjoying the Fight Night stream, ladies and gentlemen, and we will see you all in next week. Have a good weekend.